Okay, if each of you could get a fishbowl question, that's a good way to start, and introduce yourselves.
So my name is Alex Dickinson, and my fishbowl question is, what is the biggest takeaway you will have after this orientation going back to work? I would say the biggest takeaway from my time here at orientation is the strong support system that Maverick has for its employees. I'll really utilize that when I go back. I think it's a unique thing that Maverick only has in the area. I'm really looking forward to being a part of this family.
My question is, can you name all the locations where Maverick has an office?
Ooh.
So there would be the headquarters in Columbia, the one in Cypress, California, Portland, Phoenix, Arizona, Dallas and Houston, Baton Rouge, Chicago, Pensacola, Mobile, and there's one in Charlotte, as well as Raleigh, and Pittsburgh.
My second question is, do you know how to fill out a timesheet at Maverick? And I do. So you want to go to the intranet, then you click on this thing called timesheets. Pretty difficult, I know. Here's the timesheet. Well, right now, we're overhead. WBS code would be probably learning development right now. And go ahead and put 8. And that would hit update. So I think this is a good takeaway for new hires to do because they might not necessarily know this coming from a different place. So I find this to be pretty beneficial.
Don't forget at the end of the week to check the completed box and update it again so your talent lead can approve of your timesheets.
And you don't get an angry email.
No. What was your favorite and least favorite part of orientation? I'll start. I say my favorite part of orientation was going to Rankin Technical College and learning to work hands-on with how a PLC communicates with the actual physical process. And I thought Mr. Gene Island over at Rankin Technical College was very enthusiastic and very friendly teacher. My least favorite part, I suppose if I had to choose one, would be, I suppose it would be nice to have more established rules for the board game that we played for the career path. Because it seemed like we were making up some rules on the spot. But I also see the silver lining of getting sort of a feel for how, if the industry changes on the field and the group needs to redefine or rethink the game plan and come up with new ways of tackling problems on the spot, this is somewhat of a reflective situation.
To piggyback off this question, I would say my favorite part was actually meeting Paul Gillespie. And I think that's such a unique experience where you can meet the president of your company, will come down and talk to the entry-level workers and give his foresight and experience. I really think it's a one-of-a-kind opportunity, and it was very engaging. It was very down-to-earth, which I thought was amazing. Really just reflects the familiar attitude Maverick has. They always preach how unique their culture is here, and you really got a feel for that when it came down. I would have to say my least favorite part of the orientation was probably how stagnant the latter half of the technical training was on the second week. I think it could be a little bit more engaging than just following basically a lab, pretty much copying and pasting it verbatim. I kind of liked how Kayvan said Rankin was a little bit more dynamic. This question is, what does platform agnostic mean? So platform agnostic means that Maverick does not use any one platform over another. They look at each solution independently of one another. They do not necessarily push Rockwell onto clients, even though we are currently owned by Rockwell. Now, if it's on the line, we do want to use Rockwell because that is now our parent company. But that's why clients come to us. They know that they're going to get the best solution for their problem. We're not going to push a product on them that we don't believe will work for them.
What does the purchase of Maverick by Rockwell Automation mean for both companies? So, kind of piggybacking off of what you talked about with platform agnostic, Part of the terms was that Maverick would still stay and remain platform agnostic as part of its core mission. But what the relationship between the two companies mean now is that where Rockwell Automation would push for more of a hardware as a form of their deliverables, and Maverick, on the opposite end, would be more for pushing their services as well as their expertise as their deliverables. Now we see how two companies which handle different sides of the same coin can come together and merge clientele and create a one-stop shop. And in other words, it's basically 1 + 1 = 3. What was your favorite social outing as part of orientation? For me, I would say the chopped kitchen challenge, cooking challenge, that we competed in at Suzanne's house. That was my favorite. I thought it was a really good team building exercise, particularly in a high pressure situation, with everyone around us enjoying and partying and having a good time. And with a confined space, it required us to be mindful of our resources, of our space, of our relationships and our responsibilities in a team setting. So I think it was a good exercise.
So I think my favorite social outing was going to Start Bar and then to the Blues game. I really enjoyed playing Killer Queen with the team and getting those sweet, sweet berries. I also enjoyed explaining the sport of hockey to a lot of people because apparently no one from the South knows what hockey is. So that was a pretty enjoyable experience for me. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Blues game and going out to the bars beforehand. I think that was my favorite social event. What is your favorite animal? Man, I gotta go with the dog. I know it's cliche, but you can't beat dogs.
My favorite animal is probably an eagle. An eagle or a falcon, anything that flies.
That's majestic.
Yeah. Name the most famous person you've had a face-to-face encounter with, quote unquote, a brush with greatness. Yeah.
All right, so you can't think of anything. One time I met Shaquille O'Neal at the Miami airport.
Whoa.
His hands wrapped around my hands. It was absolutely insane. Side note, I was a child at the time, so that kind of was part of it, but he was a really cool guy. He talked to people, talked to the fans. Really enjoyable experience.
Maybe Bill Nye once, but I didn't meet him face to face. I was just on the front-ish rows, and he came to do a lecture at our university.
What was your favorite part of the first day of orientation? So this might be an interesting one, but actually my favorite part of the first day of orientation was actually the little marshmallow game. I think that was a pretty great icebreaker, and it kind of gave an intro into the different roles for the newer people into the company of what an E1 does, what a talent lead does, what a project manager might do. And yeah, it was a good way to learn people's names, figure out their style, their personality and such. I think my least favorite, the Thai cave experience, the whole experience with that. I think more could be done with that than just watching the video than having talking points built out from it. I think we could better use our time for something else. I don't know what that is. I know that's not a great recommendation.
What was your favorite and least favorite part of day 2 of orientation? Part of it was nice, but it was talking about reading P&IDs. I think when the story that Tyler presented about going to the plant and having a close relationship was really rewarding. However, on the screen that we saw the P&IDs, we could barely read anything. We didn't really know what was happening where, and I know that wasn't totally the point, but it might have been better used in a more direct manner. My favorite part of the second day was the lunch panel, because it was a good way to see what the first few months to the first year would be like for an incoming E1.
So piggyback off that one, actually my favorite part of the second day was the career path game. I thought that was it was an excellent medium compared to a PowerPoint to display that massive amount of information. And it was a group setting, it was very informal, it allowed for us to meet each other more easily because it was the second day, so we didn't know each other very well yet. And I think that was a good, I would definitely keep that for the next cycle. What is your favorite and least favorite part of orientation on Monday of the second week? So my favorite was by far meeting the president, PG. I think that was a really unique experience that the president would come down and talk to us. My least favorite was the technical training. It was mostly just copy and pasting from a document, and I think we could have done more engaging things. Like we were taught, 70% is done through experience, 20% is through teaching, and 10% is through that reading and writing. And that was pretty much reading and writing at that point, and that's not going to stick very well. I mean, Jordan was very responsive to our questions, but then again, it pretty much was looking at a document, putting it on the computer. It wasn't super beneficial for me. I can't speak for the new recruits.
I'd say my favorite and least favorite parts of day 1 of week 2 of orientation. Favorite part, I'll copy off of yours. Meeting the president was really nice. He was really down to earth. He had a lot of confidence, and he had a lot of pride in his company, which is always reassuring to a new fry like me coming in and seeing what I signed up for in totality. A least favorite part, the performance excellence presentation. I feel like it could have been structured a little bit better. Although I will say a good part about it was the game that we played. That was a good idea. That did make it a little more interactive. But as far as sort of seeing the structure of like Project Complete and all that, that was all beneficial, but it might have been presented in an even more interactive way. Though, again, the game was a really good idea and it really made everyone engaged. What advice would you give to new hires coming into this orientation? Either they'll be on their first day or they'll have come in with a few months of experience. I can speak from someone who just came in. I can speak as someone who came fresh out of college and say, if I can go back to 2 weeks ago and give myself a piece of advice, is to tell him that it's okay to be nervous. It's a new environment and it's a new setting, but to make the most of it and really reach out to all your peers, because the job mostly is going to be the relationships you have between your coworkers and your customers and your managers. So the best piece of advice is to live fully in the present and live large and live responsibly.
So something that I would say to a new hire is really throw yourself into these social situations, because these are the people you're going to be making relationships with, they'll be working with for a long time. And that honestly is, I know I said I had a favorite part before, but probably making these relationships has been my favorite part of this experience. And these are relationships I'll continue to pursue outside of work. You know, I've made friends here, and that's something you can't really take away.